wherever you may be, however you may be listening. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Cardinals on SI podcast with Richie Bradshaw. I am Donnie Jordan. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking us out. Go to comment, like, subscribe on the video below. It definitely does help support us. Richie, the Arizona Cardinals went to SoFi Stadium on Saturday.
They sure
Nearly
did.
came out with the win, but as the title of the video suggests, the Cardinals snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, dropping a 13-9 contest from the Los Angeles Rams. Cardinals had nothing to play for, but the Rams ended up clinching the division over the weekend with the win over Arizona. Had a couple more things fall out their way, and then Washington coming through for them on Sunday Night Football gave them the NFC West. So we do have a division crown winner. If we want to get into just the macro stuff right away, Richie, the Cardinals looked good for stretches of that game. But I think the Cardinals learned very much more than anything in 2024. You got to play 60 minutes to win a football game, and that's just simply not what Arizona did.
No. And there was a lot of issues I had with the game. There was some stuff that I really liked that was going on in the game too. Like one of the things that one of the things that I talked about in one of my post game articles was like, look, this offense didn't look bad. There were some big errors, and especially at the very end, but they were moving the ball decent.
They were 396 yards of offense,
right? Yeah, and it was a quality night for them. Like I understand the numbers were fantastic, but the you wish put up more points. That is what it is. I just like the way that the offense was moving, and I put out there, I was like, dude, if you had this offense the whole year, you're still in playoff contention. I'm not saying you make it, but you wouldn't have been eliminated by this point in time. Because some of the games they had against Seattle twice, and was it Minnesota?
Minnesota, they were in it until the end, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there were some games where it's like if you just had that consistency on offense, that wasn't what we've been accustomed to seeing recently, you might be able to pull off some of these games.
Yeah, I think after the bye, because they're 1-5 after the bye.
Yes.
3 of those 5 losses have come in one-score games. I do wonder, tailing this back to the Rams really quick, I do wonder the health of James Conner, and had he been available throughout the entire game, I do wonder if that would have played a role. Michael Carter, I feel like ran the ball pretty well. And the more you watch him play, the more you're like, okay, well, I get having DeMarcado as that third down back. I get having DJ Dallas as that special teamer. But just in terms of like pure running ability, even with Trey Benson in the mix, he's, I think, the second best runner on that team, but behind James Conner, just in terms of like running the football. So it's not odd, but whenever you see Carter do well in the opportunities he's been given, it's like, oh, okay, well, that's what Arizona's been missing. Like, why is this talented guy on the practice squad the entire year?
I couldn't tell you that much, but
I mean, we know we know
like
the answer.
Veteran for sure.
Right. We know the answer. It's because they like the versatility of DeMarcado as a pass blocker, and DJ Dallas contributes a lot in special teams as well. And you only have so many roster spots. You're not going to have 5 active running backs every week. That's just the reality of it. But like it in terms of just like if James Conner goes down, who can run the football? They didn't have Trey Benson on Saturday. Then it's like, okay, you're up to Carter and Dallas. I think we both know that the better of the 2 running backs there. That's no shade at DJ. He's a great dude, a great overall Swiss Army knife for the Cardinals to use in different facets of the game. But, it's just I think the Cardinals might look back whenever they review everything for the 2024 season. They're like, maybe we should have got that guy more touches. Maybe Michael Carter should have played a little bit more. So it is what it is, man. But like you said, 396 of offensive yards, 9 points. I don't remember the last time I've seen that where an offense just like moved the ball very well. And it's not, these weren't garbage time yards either. Like this was a game up until the very, very end. Yeah. There wasn't no stat padding, no anything like that. Marvin Harrison Jr., welcome back. Played a phenomenal game. I'll pull up the numbers really quick. Trey McBride, obviously, another really strong game. And it just feels like when you get those 2 guys going, it just opened up so much more for for everybody else. With McBride occupying the interior of the defense, and then Marv obviously doing work on the outside. McBride 16 targets. I think that needs to be regular. I think maybe even more. Some would say 12 receptions, 123 yards. 1 touchdown, finally got that coveted receiving touchdown. The Marv right behind him, 6 for 96. Just an overall very, very good day for the Cardinals to get their passing game back on track. But you look at Kyler's numbers: 33 for 48, 321, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I'll let you talk because I have some thoughts about both picks.
The second pick was infuriating. And I attribute a lot of that blame to Drew Petzing because I couldn't stand it. I thought that was a situation where you just needed to run the ball to end the game, force the Rams to burn their final timeout, take the time off the clock, and then get into the end zone and leave LA with as minimal amount of time as possible. And you'd been able to run the ball pretty efficiently. Yeah. So I hated that play call. I hated the decision from Kyler to stare down his first read and force that ball in there. I don't think Trey was ready for it. And
so he wasn't. He wasn't. He turned around, and I think
right.
If Kyler throws that ball just a quarter of a second later, I think it's a touchdown. And I think hindsight's very much 2020. Looking back on it from our perspective, just not being in the heat of the moment. I do think if they had to redo it, they might have tried to run the ball. But on it, like the play was there. Like that was a very, very successful play call for the Cardinals previously, leading up to that point. Like it's almost like you're like money play. Like, hey, we need to score. What do? You get Trey one-on-one, you let him break to the outside, and then he makes a play. That's just, I think that entire play start to finish was just a very unfortunate series of events with Kyler throwing the ball just a little early. Kyler throwing the ball with a lot of heat on it. Trey not turning around in enough time. The ball just bonking off of his face mask. And then Witherspoon making a phenomenal play. I think that's what gets lost when people talk about that play. Keller Witherspoon made a hell of a football play there, man. Like that was not a routine interception by any means.
But that was a interception for sure.
The people arguing about that, come on, man.
Yeah, I don't know what we're doing, but for what it's worth, I will double down. Even with hindsight, and even if the play worked, I still thought it was the wrong decision. I was not happy when I saw the decision to pass it instead of running it. Even if the play had worked, I would have said it was the wrong call. I would have eaten my words and been like, well, you know what? Doesn't matter because the play worked. But
right,
I stand firm. I did not like that play call then. I certainly don't with the results. But even if it was good results, I would have told you I didn't like that play call. And I've had a lot of issues with Drew Petzing's play calling all year long. Sure. If you are up to date on the articles that I post and whatnot, I'm routinely talking about Petzing, and I'm just done with it. And it's not excusing Kyler like some people would like to think, but it has to start with the coaching for me.
No, I would agree. There's going to be a lot of talk and a lot of conversation about those two guys you just named, Kyler and Drew. I can't wait to get into that like later, like once like the offseason finally arrives. The people I've talked to, this isn't a report, but like people who seem to have a pretty good grip on the team would kind of be surprised if Drew Petzing is gone this offseason.
Which is a bummer.
Yeah. The only problem is you look at games like Saturday and it's like, okay, your job as a coordinator. Right. And like what's the outlier? Was that 4-game winning streak the outlier? Was this 1-5 stretch after the bye week an outlier? Like what? Like who are the real Arizona Cardinals?
Please stand up.
Yeah. Yeah. Love 50 Cent.
Close.
Oh, Jarrell.
Yep, you got it.
So we'll see. But just telling it back to SoFi, it was right there for them. It was there for them. We talked about the second Kyler pick. The first Kyler pick, I do not put on Kyler at all. 4th and 10 after a penalty that put them back, and then I think it was that wide receiver reverse that Drew Petzing called on that 3rd and forever, and then they keep Kyler out on that 4th and 10. And I'm okay, you don't love punting here. I get that. Field goal is a little rich right here. Screw it. Just see what you can make happen. Kyler had pressure in his face immediately. He had to roll out. He had to get something off. So I don't fault Kyler for that pick. I fault coaching, and that's where it goes back to you in your point. It starts with coaching. There were a couple times where another great example, that first 4th down attempt that Arizona had, where they lined James Conner up at fullback with DJ Dallas in the backfield. What are we doing? What are we doing?
It's just trying to reinvent the wheel.
Trying to be cute is what happens.
Cute. Yep, you literally beat me to it by a couple of seconds. That's just that's how it goes sometimes. These coaches think they're the smartest guys in the room, and more often than not they are, but sometimes it's dude, you just do the simple stuff. I don't know why you're trying to do some kind of Philly special play in a week 17 football game. So it's just really frustrating. Two quick thoughts. First one, they're both kind of funny, don't take them too seriously kind of thing.
Okay, sure.
I thought even without having his feet set, overthrowing 6'4" Marvin Harrison Jr. was the epitome of how that game was going, because it was just a really frustrating game to watch for Cardinal fans. And he puts his ball up and Harrison jumps up for it, full extension and everything. And it's still well above his hands. He just doesn't have a chance for it. And I'm just kind of laughing there watching with our buddy. And I'm like, that's just this game for you. They can't get those things to go their way. The other thing, which definitely not funny at all, funny for me, that was an MVP level play, because that was an air punt and getting the ball down the field and pinning the Rams deep. So
not the first time Kyler has air punted this year for sure. I do want to touch on Marvin. We we had briefly praised him a little bit earlier in the show, but
he needs more praise.
It finally looked like it clicked, man. Finally, you had the broken plays with Marv early in the year where he had the monster numbers for a couple of games. This was the first time where I'm like, okay, it looks like him and Kyler are on the same page. That back shoulder throw to Marv on the sideline where he had to fight through contact, contort his body, and he came down with it. That's what you want to see. That is why you took Marvin Harrison Jr. number 4 overall right there.
You know who I saw as a Arizona State fan? That was Jalen Strong, working that back shoulder like that, and the throw was it was perfect. It's indefensible. Yeah. There's nothing you can do as a defender. There's no way that you can find your arms and your hands to be able to defend that pass, because it's nowhere near you. And then for Harrison to be able to adjust, pull it in, and all that good stuff, a good back shoulder fade, almost impossible to stop as a defender.
100%. And we listened to Drew Terrell, the Cardinals receivers coach, a couple weeks ago, talk about how Marv just needs to be a little bit more aggressive at the top of his routes. You can be physical. This is the NFL. You are going to need to create separation somehow. Marv, I think by nature, is not that physical kind of guy. He's a very polished receiver. I don't think he's DK, AJ Brown, anything like that. No, nor does he need to be. But I think having kind of that GTFO mentality at the top of a route where you're extending yourself off of cornerbacks and you're giving yourself room to make catches.
A Des Bryant mentality.
Yeah, I think if you can really hammer that home consistently with him, I think he'll be fine. Yeah. I don't think you need Marv to be a 50-50 receiver. That's not what he is. I really wish they would stop trying to make him a 50-50 receiver. He's not blazing fast. He's not Tyreek Hill, but he doesn't need to be. Like Marv is a very, very good receiver with a lot of potential. And I think ultimately the Cardinals need to do a better job of unlocking that potential. And maybe the first step in that direction was taken on Saturday, because Marv was open a lot of times and Marv came down with a lot of like questionable catches that maybe he wouldn't have caught earlier in the year. I don't know. I think there was a lot to be excited, even in the loss, a lot of really good takeaways. I think that was one of my biggest ones is, okay, playoffs out the window. What can we do these next 2 weeks to really kind of build some momentum? That was it right there. That was
it. No, it was. And I thought it was one of the best games that he had all season. 6 catches, 96 yards on 10 targets. Like statistically, it was a really good one. If you watch, just watch what he did, Donnie. I don't know how many other games he had the consistency that he had, and there was potential for a couple of more catches if they were better placed footballs and stuff like that. Like he played a really, really good game. And I love that you bring up he doesn't have that physical aspect to his game yet. That's definitely something that he can develop with coaching that will just kind of get in his head of like, dude, you see how big, strong, and fast you are? You're beating 90% of defensive backs in the pros. Use it to your advantage. And I love that you mentioned as well that he's a very polished receiver, because in college at Ohio State, guys simply couldn't keep up with him. He was too fast. He was too big, and the route running was exceptional. Like I think people forget how good of a route runner he was coming out of college, and it's going to show as he continues to grow in the NFL. But he didn't ever have to be at that point where he was physically separating from defenders who simply weren't on his level. Yeah. Now in the pros, you're going to have to figure out a way to do that. And once he does, and even if he's not able to create true separation with some of the best corners, having that my ball mentality, like I call it the Des Bryant mentality, because that's exactly who I think of. Once he's got that mentality of, hey, that ball's up for grabs, I'm coming down with it. You can commit pass interference or you can watch me moss you. It's up to you. That's where Marv is waiting to really unlock all that potential, is to have that part of his game available. And we saw against the Rams a little bit more physicality from him. And I think the perfect example is that back shoulder fade. It's a work of art.
Because you look at Marv, and it's like, dude, you're 6'4". Like, please play like it. Please.
Dude, you can beat anyone. You're more talented than 90% of the corners in the league because of how big and fast you are. If you add the strength to the game,
will come,
who's going to keep up with you?
Yeah, exactly. I think
you're an outlier.
Not to dig into Marv too deep, but dude, like, he's such a nice guy, and I just wish there was a switch that you could flip on him to, like, whenever he goes between those white lines, like, just and have him turn into a dog. It's just an absolute, maybe not like a Malik Neighbors dog or like a George Pickens dog, but just like there is nobody that can cover me, and I'm going to bully whoever's across from me, kind of thing.
Right. Time to stop being Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah, and I'm not calling him soft.
That was one of the. No. I hear what you're saying, but like that's one of the things that made his dad so good. Is when Marv Sr. was on the football field, you were not his friend, you were his enemy, and he was looking to embarrass you, run you over, whatever it took. That runs in the family. So all it takes is
route running runs in the family. His dad was elite at so many things.
When Marv gets that nerve to him, and I have no doubt he will. Like this isn't me calling him out or anything like that. And I know you're not doing that either. It's just when that next step comes, because it will come. There's not a lot of guys that are going to be able to keep up with him, and it's going to be so much fun to watch him just absolutely torture everyone that he goes up against, because you can't stop him.
Yeah, let's flip to the defensive side of the ball. Holding a very, very hot offense, Stafford, Nakua, Kupp, Kyron, Sean McVay calling plays to 13 points over 4 quarters. Phenomenal job by Nick Rallis. Tremendous job by Nick.
We say it every
3
week.
points in the second half, man.
Yeah.
Holding that offense to 3 points in the second half and giving your team a shot to win. I know they're 1-5 after the bye, but like it is so hard
It's
to
not because of
ignore.
the defense.
Right. It is so hard to not look at the job Rallis has done over that stretch and be like, you know what? Like, this is impressive. Like, this is legit impressive considering the chess pieces that have moved in and out of the lineup. Even like later in the game, Jalen Thompson went down due to an injury. And I think, was it Max? No, Garrett Williams. Garrett Williams went out with a concussion. Losing 2 big pieces like that and still like holding like the Rams to a field goal at 7 minutes left to still give yourself a chance to win the game. Like, they're playing, man. Like they are hooping on that side of the ball. Like, do not let the win-loss column tell you otherwise.
Nope. And we got to throw a shout out to Max Melton right now because he played phenomenal football in this game. Someone that I know we were excited about going into the year. The question was, are we going to see him on the outside or the inside? I still don't know that we have a true role established for him just yet. But yeah, when he's been called upon this year, he's played really good football. He played really good football against the Rams. I was beyond impressed with what I saw from Max Melton.
And that I think the hope is that like guys like Darius Robinson continue to improve. Dude, there was one play where like 3 guys blocked him, and I'm like, okay, it's just great. It was only like a 4-man rush, so there was a free blocker, but like 3 dudes on the first like round pick, like not too upset about that.
We know what he
hopefully
is.
means, right?
So
you know what he can become too, and I think that's the fun part.
Right, and unfortunately, the thing that went against him this year was something that was completely out of his control.
Yeah, so
that's the thing that always kills you.
What kills me is like I was talking to him at his locker last week, and I'm just like looking up at him. I'm like, first of all, you're built like a Greek statue.
I was gonna say Donnie's probably looking like this.
Yeah. You're built like a Greek statue. You are like 5 years younger than me. And like I like this guy's a first round pick, and I'm just like at the store being like, you know what, like that chicken package is 10 cents cheaper. I'm gonna get that one. But no, hopefully D-Rob can continue improving. I do think he's gotten better week after week. Kaiser White and Mac Wilson, I would love to see that duo back for another year.
How much younger did you think he was than you?
What's up?
How much younger did you think he was than you?
Darius? I said 5. I'm 29. I thought he was 24.
He is 23, born in 2001. I don't know why I thought you said 3. I was like, brother, he's not that old and you're not that young.
Not. Thanks for bringing that up. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome, buddy.
Yeah,
I'm sitting there, I'm like, don't you lie to the people. But that's also because for some reason, I thought you said 3 years. I was like, brother, come on,
man.
You're off your parents' insurance, dude.
Yeah. Oh, man. But, it's just the keep Stafford in check, man. Under 200 yards passing, no touchdowns. Kyron Williams, one of the best running backs in the league, 56 yards rushing. Puka did have himself a game, 10 receptions, 129 yards, but somebody's going to pop off in that offense week after week. It's just it's how it's designed, man. It's just like somebody's going to eat win or loss. I think you live with that. And honestly, man, if you take that in the vacuum and you show the Cardinals that, you're like, hey, man, like this is the box score of the Rams offense. Here's what they do. Here's what they didn't do. Are you going to roll the dice and take it? And they're like, yeah, 10 out of 10 times you would take that Rams performance.
Yeah, no, of course you will. And again, this was not a defensive problem in this game for the Cardinals. It just, they couldn't get what they needed to go right on offense. And some of it was play calling and some of it was poor decisions. The defense was not an issue at any point in this game. And when we look back at this game over the summer, we're gonna stand firm on that. We're gonna be like, yeah, this was not a defensive loss. This is a coaching loss. This was a 2 or 3 or 4 bad decisions loss. Defense played well. They played well all year. This was almost the game where like you'll look back on it and you'll be like, yep, you want proof that the Cardinals weren't losing games because of their defense? Here's the game. This is what like exhibit A. This is what the defense did, and they couldn't win the game.
Nope, I would agree. I think if you took away the scoreboard, which granted NFL wins and losses, that's how you're judged.
Sure.
If you didn't look at the win or loss column, there's a lot to like about the Cardinals in that game, and a lot to like about them moving forward. But you are judged on wins and losses, and ultimately that's what it comes down to. I will say, being in the post-game press conferences and being in the locker room after, dude, there's a lot of hope, man. Like, really, like,
there should be. It's a good team.
It's a potentially division-winning team next year if they can have a good offseason, they can have a good free agency draft, however you want to pin it.
Right. The pieces are
like
here.
they know they're there. They
right.
know they are right there, man.
But you know what they need? And again, I put this in the article. They need playmakers. Like, especially on defense, you've got guys who do their job very, very well. There's not turnover machines. There's not sack machines on that defense. And that's what's going to change things. We saw a handful of turnover-worthy plays that didn't happen, like Budda Baker. Like, I love Budda, trending towards the Hall of Fame. God, he does not get turnovers. And you take it because of how great he is everywhere else. But it's those games. Donnie, they scored a touchdown on the next play. The Rams did. It was a run to Kyron Williams after that play action fake, whatever it was, that Budda had right in his hands. Like, that changes the game, getting a turnover in the end zone instead of allowing a touchdown. And the Cardinals just don't have that right now. It's not anywhere on the roster. They've got several good players in the front seven and the secondary, but there's not that one.
You need a game wrecker,
right?
That's exactly what the Cardinals need. They need a certified game wrecker. Now, granted, all 32 NFL teams would love to add another game record to the roster. It's not exactly breaking news. That's not some deep analysis, but like, for a Cardinals
change
defense,
this Cardinals team,
it would instantly elevate them to a different level.
Right.
Instantly. But I mean, do you go big fish hunting this offseason? Do you call Jerry World and be like, what's up with Micah? Do you call the dog pound and be like, what's up with Miles? Like, what do you do?
God, I don't know. You would have to forfeit your future to get Micah. You give up a gold mine for Garrett for sure.
Man, I hate to keep beating this drum. Hassan Reddick's going to be a free agent, bro. And
let it go.
If there's a coaching staff that got the best out of Hassan Reddick, it's going to be Gannon and Rallis. Now, I'm not saying give him all of the money in the world, but I would not be opposed if they wanted to, for lack of a better term, kick the tires on him. Be like, hey man, we'll throw you a couple mil, come wreak havoc, and then if we want to leave after 2 years and go somewhere else and get paid, sure. But the problem is that he's already over the age of 30. He didn't play football barely at all this year.
Nope. So here's a 1-year deal, and he's not going to want that.
That's fair. Yeah.
I'm not paying him. I like the idea over the course of the season to kick the tires and try and do it. The Jets played their hand, and unfortunately, you saw Reddick's season get played into that, and part of it was his fault for sure. But unfortunately, with the way the Jets season went, Hassan Reddick's season went the exact same way, completely wasted. And for wanting a big long-term extension, I don't think there's 32 teams out there that are interested in giving him a 4-year deal right now.
No, that's completely fair. I wouldn't give him a 4-year deal right now. I
Right,
would
wrong,
not
or
give him.
indifferent.
I would not give him top of the market money, but I think
No, he's going to have to sign another prove it deal. And again, part of that is on him for playing into that.
it's absolutely on him. But I'm just saying, like from a Cardinals perspective, if for whatever reason you can't get a big fish like the two guys we talked about, I would reach out and be like, "Hey, do you have any interest? Let's meet me somewhere in the middle. Like you're not going to get the vet minimum. You're going to want money, but also you're 30. You barely played last year. Like there's not a lot of factors playing to your favor of getting a very big paycheck. So meet us in the middle. We need a dominant guy. You've shown you could be a dominant guy. Meet us somewhere in the middle. We know how to use you. You know you'll be successful here. Come back home."
I don't hate it. I just don't love it, as a famous Connor Drios would say.
Shout out to Connor. Any thoughts about the Rams coming up? In case anybody missed it, the NFL did confirm Week 18. Cardinals Niners will be on Sunday, January 5th. Sunday. Come watch two bottom feeder teams. State Farm Stadium.
At least we knew one of them was not supposed to be a playoff team.
Yeah.
And then you have the Cardinals.
Yeah. Do not let the Niners fans catch this podcast.
What fans?
Yeah.
They're probably not here this year. They'll be here next year. You know what, dude? I'm in water with the Texas fans already. I'm not afraid of Niner fans.
That's fair. Yeah. Longhorn fans have not been kind to you in the comments.
That's okay. It's paying my bills.
All right, brother. We're gonna get out of here. Richie, have a wonderful time in Atlanta catching the Arizona State Sun Devils in the Peach Bowl against the Texas Longhorns. Locked on Sun Devils. Go shout them out.
Locked on Sun Devils. Help me out. I'm fighting for my life in my comments. Could really use some ASU support.
For Richie Bradshaw, I am Donnie Duran. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Cardinals on SI podcast. Follow Richie on Twitter at RichieBrads36. Follow me on Twitter at Donnie Duran. Stay safe. Forks up. We'll see you guys soon.